Thank you very much, Paramabandhu. So, listening to order members give talks, I'm often impressed with the verses of poetry that they can recite from, or quote from, and what they can pull from great literature. I think it gives you a glimpse into their consciousness, the way their mind works. When I was asked to give this talk on what I want from the Triratna Buddhist order, what immediately came to my mind was a scene from Game of Thrones, a TV series. And I think that perhaps gives you an insight into my level of consciousness and how refined or unrefined that is. So the scene that came to mind was from the current series, where Jon Snow, the young king of the north from House Stark, he heads south to meet and petition Queen Daenerys Targaryen. And their houses have been locked in conflict. There are 7 kingdoms in Westeros, and there are 7 noble houses whose armies are at war with each other, battling for their king or queen to sit on the Iron Throne and rule the 7 kingdoms. And meanwhile, there's a main overarching plot of Game of Thrones which is reaching a climax, which is that there is an army of dead marching towards Westeros, and they're ruled by the chillingly scary White Walkers. And the White Walkers have the power to bring the dead alive, and their mission is to spread death and to annihilate life and humanity. Yeah. So winter is coming, and the army of the dead are about to spread. They're about to descend on Westeros, and their numbers are so vast that it will be virtually impossible to stop them. So Jon Snow tells Daenerys that he's seen the army of the dead. Most people in Westeros think it's just fantasy or legend, but Jon Snow tells Daenerys he's seen the army of the dead. He knows it's true. He knows the danger. And he tells her that the only way to stop them is for their 2 great houses to unite. To put aside their differences and unite to save humanity. Because whilst their focus is inwards on the battle between themselves, the various noble houses of the 7 kingdoms are all completely missing the real danger, the real issue. So Jon Snow tells Daenerys if they don't unite and fight together against the forces of Mara, the forces of the dead, he doesn't say that. I'm getting ahead of myself. The forces of the dead, they're all going to lose, they'll all be defeated, and there'll be nothing left to rule over. So why did that scene come into my mind? So as I've just let slip, the great army of the dead threatening to wipe out humanity makes me think of Mara and his forces. And there are those familiar verses from the Dharma, the mindful are like the living, and the unmindful are like the dead. I think to the extent that we are unmindful, we're all part of Mara's army, Mara's forces, Mara's army of the dead. He can work through us to the extent that we are unmindful. Right now, the forces of Mara are on the march, it seems like. Samsara is on fire, and it seems to be blazing with particular intensity at the moment. These are unstable and uncertain times in the world, and people are confused and frightened. People need a refuge, and the world desperately needs the Dharma. So for a while, the order's been in a period of introspection. We've been looking at the past, we've been questioning ourselves, we've been questioning our practices, we've been questioning our teacher even. Looking inwards in this way, like the kings and queens in the Game of Thrones, are we in danger of missing the real issue? Are we placing our focus in the right direction while samsara blazes around us? So I want to be really clear that we definitely need to put energy into past difficulties. And if people have been harmed and that can be resolved, I'm really strongly behind that. I think that's really important. But stepping back and taking the biggest possible perspective, samsara is ablaze and Mara is amassing an army of the dead. And what are we, the mindful, the living, doing about it? So with a prolonged period of introspection, we could potentially be taking our eye off the real task at hand. So there are, with bearing in mind what Paramabandhu said about the title of the talk, there are a couple of things I would like from the order, but and one of the things is I'd like to see from the order. I'd like to see the order unite and to face Mara's forces with renewed vigour. And unlike Game of Thrones, we're not going to kill the army of the dead. We're going to convert them. So we're going to convert the unmindful one by one in our local centres or our Quaker meeting houses or in wherever we run our local classes. And what inspires me is, what could we achieve in the next 50 years of our order? Can we grow our movement and our order and really transform the suffering in the world around us? People are living in suffering and confusion because they don't have access to the Dharma. And people are living without meaning in their lives because they don't have access to the Dharma. So the true refuge that people need is the Dharma. And the Dharma isn't taught, it's caught. The Dharma is caught. The Dharma is reality, and reality is alive. It's trying to wake us up all of the time. And Bhante's spoken in terms of something else founding the order through him. It's that indefinable spirit that we can't really talk about, because any attempt to name it is instantly wrong, because it can't be pinned down, it can't be labelled. But I'm going to try and talk about it, and bearing that in mind, I'm going to refer to it as Dharma with a capital D, or sometimes bodhicitta. So it can sound very abstract and perhaps even nonsensical unless you've had a taste of it, an experience of it. But I think it is something tangible that you can experience in order contexts. And I experience it on the Mitra Conveners meetings, and I'm really pleased to see there's at least half a dozen plus Mitra Conveners here, and hopefully they experience that as well. I experienced it last week being around Padmavajra in Sheffield at the Sheffield Buddhist Centre. I experienced it yesterday in the car driving down here with Aryadasa, and we were talking about what inspires us about the Dharma, what inspires us about the order. I think I could even say, it was a long time ago, but I'm confident I could say that it was the same thing I experienced when I was in Peru and I was in a Catholic monastery, and then when I went to Machu Picchu in Peru. And I think it's no coincidence, shortly after that I came back to Sheffield and I found the Dharma shortly after that. So there's this indefinable spirit. And as an order, our main objective is to create the conditions for the Dharma as a living force to manifest in the world. And Bhante's teachings and practices are a vehicle to manifest this reality in the world. They're a means to an end. As order members, we communicate Bhante's Dharma, and despite our flaws, something of this indefinable spirit, the Dharma with a capital D, shines through and inspires and transforms people. And I know this without doubt, because it's happened to me. I know Bhante's Dharma is potent because it's worked on me. What would I be doing if it wasn't for Bhante? What would I be doing if it wasn't for the order members who taught me the Dharma in Sheffield? I can remember the first Sangha nights I went to in Sheffield, and I was exhilarated. I was completely absorbed, drinking in every word of the talks from Vedanya and from Vajratara. It's as though the Dharma struck me like a bell, and it's still resonating now. And now, despite my own flaws, as a Dharma teacher, my many ethical flaws, the Dharma is somehow able to shine through me and affect and transform the people in Sheffield, at the Sheffield Buddhist Centre. It's like sunlight trying to come through a mucky window. And proof of this is Aryadasa, who's going to be speaking after me. I taught Aryadasa's introductory course, and over the past 6 years it's been a real pleasure to watch this strong, clear mind emerge. And Aryadasa really gets the Dharma, and the Dharma has really got hold of Aryadasa. It's been really inspiring to watch that happen, and now to be in the order alongside each other. And just this last Wednesday I became Aryadasa's KM, so we've still got the red thread fresh from that ceremony. So I watched the Dharma take hold of people in Sheffield and work through them and change them dramatically. Bhante's teachings and practices are infectious. People catch the Dharma through them. So just like the noble houses in Game of Thrones uniting to fight the army of the dead, I'd like the order to unite around Bhante's teachings and practices, to shift our focus outwards, and to share Bhante's Dharma with as many people as we can in as many ways that we can. So Bhante is my teacher, and in what is the Western Buddhist order, Bhante expressed the need for commonality in our teachings and practices. As my teacher, I've got confidence in his judgment about this. When the order was founded, Bhante encouraged order members to be true individuals. The order needed order members to think for themselves, to go off by themselves, to found Buddhist centres, to spread the Dharma. What was most needed was for order members to become true individuals. But now Bhante's saying what's needed is commonality, what we need is commonality. I don't think Bhante's being a control freak. I think Bhante's got the wisdom to see that commonality is what is needed right now. It's what's needed to sustain such a diverse, large and worldwide order and movement. So if we could have confidence in Bhante's earlier assertion that we need to be individuals, I think we can also have confidence in Bhante's assertion now that what's needed now is commonality. what's needed is commonality and harmony. We need true individuals but committed to the same cause. We need intense collective practice around the shared vision. Because this is what's required for us to be an effective vehicle for the Dharma with a capital D to shine through and keep shining through and affect people. So I really do want harmony in the order. I would like there to be deep harmony in the order. And it doesn't mean we have to agree with each other about everything. It's possible to profoundly disagree with each other and still be in harmony, provided that we are united at a deep level with a shared vision about what our lives are about. Without a shared common vision, I don't think there can be real harmony, in my opinion. And there currently appears to be at least 2 different visions about what the order is. There are probably more, but at least 2 visions of what the order is. So if as an order we can't even agree on what the order is, if we don't share a fundamental vision of the order, how can there be real, effective, deep harmony? Yeah, human beings need a myth. We each need a vision to live from. And I've got a very strong, clear vision that I live from, which is part of me, which I know I share with many friends in the order. And it came from my time at Gukkiloka, my private ordinations, the weeks leading up to my private ordination. I can remember really vividly this vision emerging. It's more like a bond, really, a deep samaya bond that was forged at that time. And it was at a gut level. It wasn't a thought. It was more like a bond. But there was this clarity: as long as I'm alive, Bhante's Dharma will be alive in the world. For the rest of my life, I will make Bhante's Dharma available in the world, and for future lifetimes, hopefully, as well. It was an experience of really great contentment. I just knew I was doing exactly the right thing with my life at exactly the right time. I was in exactly the right place. It was just a deep contentment. So at a very deep level, it's clear to me I'll always serve the Dharma and I'll always serve Bhante's Dharma. I can't do anything else with my life. I don't seem to have any choice about it. And I can't compromise that vision of the order that I live from. But the thing is, I can't impose that vision on other people either. And I don't want other people to have to compromise their vision that they live by, that they want to live from. Life's too short to compromise on something as essential and important as that. So where does that leave us? Well, hopefully not with a polite attempt at harmony where we all end up living from a compromised vision, a compromised vision that no one really wants to live from. I hope it's not where we end up. Yeah, as an order member, I see my duty is to engage with Bhante's teachings and practices as intensively as I can, and to make them available for as many people as I can. Yeah, I met a young man last week in Sheffield who said he couldn't commit to Triratna because of things he'd read about Bhante online. He wasn't really receptive to what I had to say about it, and he said he was looking for a teacher who teach him the Dharma who hadn't been unethical. In the end, all I could do was say a more polite version of, well, good luck with that. There's no such thing as perfect Dharma. There's only fingers pointing at the moon. There's no such thing as perfect Dharma teachings. And there's no such thing as a perfect Dharma teacher. We're just a mucky window with the Dharma shining through us. Yeah, that's mixing metaphors a bit, moons and suns. But, So there's new challenges facing society right now. It's a rapidly changing world, and the world really needs a Dharma refuge. It really needs a Dharma. We've got the weaponry to fight Mara's forces. Bhante's given us enough to become stream entrants. Bhante's given us enough to become awakened. We don't need a lot of Dharma, we just need one Dharma verse and a mind that's ripe to hear it. And we've got hundreds of thousands of words from Bhante, and we've got hundreds of thousands more words from the Buddha. So I don't believe that one gets enlightened. I think the enlightened mind gets hold of you. And to the extent that you can get yourself out of the way and reduce ego clinging, the Dharma can shine through us. The Dharma with a capital D can shine through us. I think we've got very potent practices. We've got a community which is vibrant and alive with metta and friendship and integrity. And for me, practicing the Dharma life committed to these practices and this community is a really effective way of reducing ego clinging I think, well, I keep saying I know it's potent, because again I can observe it working on me. I can observe it working in me. So I think the way this works, apologise for saying I think a lot, I think it's nerves. I don't think, it's stronger than that. But we remove some of the muck from the window ourselves, and the Dharma shines more intensely. But the Dharma burns some of the muck off as well and shines more intensely, shines more vividly, more intensely through us. And I think eventually it gets to the point in practice where it's quite imperceptible, probably irrelevant, but there's just the sun is shining so brightly, there's no longer a window that it's shining through. The Dharma has kind of evaporated the window even. But I think it's probably imperceptible and not really that relevant. It's about the intensity of the sunlight of reality pouring out into the world. So if I'm asked what I would like from the Triratna Buddhist order, then what I would really like is for us to emerge from this period of introspection and to unite around Bhante's teachings and practices, to direct our gaze outwards towards the suffering world around us, because that's what the world really needs right now.